Welcome to Harrison Hats.
Hey guys, welcome back to Harrison Hacks. Today is the release day of the PSP Classic Edition Mini. This is for PC. It's not an actual console or anything, but this is a really nice little build. I had a great time making it. It is based off of the upcoming Vintage Collection PSP pack, which is a massive pack. But this is not so large. This is a little bit smaller just to keep everything nice and simple. I've added all of the games that my patrons have requested, so thank you guys for your support. All of the games you guys requested on the patron page are in this build, and I added a couple from my own little personal list of games that I enjoy playing. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to get this installed, and once we have it installed, set up, ready to go, at the end of the video I'll show you guys a couple of quick little tweaks that you can do, and it all comes down to personal preference, but I'll include those in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to want to do, as usual, is go to the link in the description, and that's going to take you to download a PSP Classic Edition link.txt, so just a small little text file. Once you have the text file, open it up, highlight everything inside just like so, right click, copy, and paste that into your web browser. And once you do, that's going to allow you to download the PSP Classic Edition.7-zip file. It's 11.4 gigabytes when it's zipped, and when it is extracted, it's 18.2. So we're going to place the PSP Classic Edition.7-zip in the root of your H drive. So you want to make sure it's on H drive, right where your Vintage Collection is, if you have Vintage Collection. And we're going to right click on it, and with WinRAR, extract here, or with 7-zip, extract here. Once it's extracted, you'll have a PSP Classic Edition folder. We'll go on inside, and inside you can see we have everything that we need. So I'm going to just show the layouts folder. So this is Psp Shuffle. This is a modified version that I've done of the Neo Shuffle, which was released by Frizzle Fried. So I wanted to give a shout out to Frizzle Fried for doing an amazing theme. All I've done is modified it to have a PSP look and feel to it. But definitely my hat's off to Frizzle Fried for creating the original theme. So without further ado, let's go right in, get our controller working, and get rocking and rolling. So I do have my computer muted, but you can see the PSP little intro. And then we're going to have it pop up to the main menu. So you're getting all of the 3D box art, game name, the year it was made, and the creator of the game, as well as the large video snaps. So basically every game, I'll just go through the list. So I'll start at the beginning here. So we've got Castlevania, the Dracula X Chronicles, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, Fight Night Round 3, GTI Club Super Mini Festa, God of War Chains of Olympus. Now, this will depend on your PC how well this game emulates. If it's not running great for you, I apologize. It does not run great on my laptop either, but in my living room it runs perfectly fine with my more powerful PC. So some games are harder to emulate than others, but I did want to include both God of War games. So there is Ghost of Sparta, Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars, Killzone Liberation, Lunar Silver Star Harmony, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, Pro Cycling 2010 Le Tour de France, Rocky Balboa, Silent Hill Origins, TMNT, Tomb Raider Legend, Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins is a great game on the PSP, definitely check that out. And finally, WWE All-Stars, which is a really good wrestling game as well. So that's all the games. So now what you're going to want to do is have your controller connected to your PC, and we're going to press Tab on our keyboard. And using the arrow keys, we're going to go to Controls, press Enter, and we're going to go starting from the top. So on the back exit, I'm going to press enter. I'm going to go to add input. Now I'm using an Xbox 360 controller. You use whatever you'd like to use. I'm going to press enter on add input, and I'm using my B button. And there we go. And now if I press B, it'll back me up. And then up and down actually makes the game list scroll left and right. So what I do here for up is I press enter, add input, and I'm going to press left. Then I'm going to go down, add input, and press up. So now up is up, but left is up too. Kind of weird, but it works that way. So I'll press B. Now for down, I'm going to press enter, go to add input, press enter. I'm going to press right. Then I'm going to go down again to add input and press down. There we go. Now for left and right, you don't have to do anything there. For select, this is to choose a game. So I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to go down to add input, press enter, and I'm going to use my A button. So now I can control everything with my controller. If you want a search option, if you plan to add more games from the Vintage Collection pack once it's released, and you want to have a search option, this custom one, what I would do is go in here. I'm going to press A to go in, and I'll remove the input. Now I use my X button on my 360 controller to bring up the search bar. So I'm going to add input and press X. Press back, back, back. So now when I press left and right, the games are working perfectly, or I could use up and down, whichever you choose. So for search, I'll press X, and let's say I want G. So I didn't search an actual game name there, but you can see. I usually don't use the search function, but it's for anyone who wants to. So that's pretty much it. Now we can launch a game. I'd like to launch something that runs kind of good on this PC, but you can see all of your games are there. And then if I press back, there we go. So let's try Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'll launch that up. And it may take a little bit to launch. That's just because I'm recording on this laptop. I have to mention that in most of my videos. I just want you guys to know that it's working perfectly. It's just my laptop is not the greatest. But there you can see it's loaded. Now, I recommend using a 360 controller or something close to it, just because you need an L2 button if you want to get into your options within PPSSPP. So if we were to press L2 or the left trigger, you can see that you can do you can save your state, you can continue back to your game, you can go to settings. So this is coming just nice and standard for everybody. OpenGL, buffered rendering, frame skip is off. If you want to turn it on, that's totally up to you. Full screen is on, and the resolution. So if you can bump it up with your PC, no problem. Go ahead. For my living room PC, I usually do about 5x PSP, but for this particular laptop, I just do the auto 1:1. And my controller was already set up. My 360 controller was already set up in here. But if you were to go over, there's graphics, there's audio options. Here you can do your control options if you want, where you control mapping there. I don't know anything about the online. There's some tools and whatever you want to do for the system. But if you wanted to, you could go to exit menu, and then this is where you would exit out of a game. So exit, and that's going to take you back to the PSP Classic Edition front end. So basically that's how you would have to exit a game. So if you were to launch the game again, so I'm going to press L2 while I'm in game. I can either save if I want. If not, I'll exit to menu, and then I'll go over and exit. Now if you want to, now this is where I'm going to show you guys a couple of tips. So basically, if you want to exit a game immediately, what we're going to want to do again while we're in the main menu here is press tab, and we're going to go up to emulators, Sony PSP, and we can do an exit hotkey. So what would you like to use to exit? Um, I don't use start and select that often. I do within Vintage Collection for my classic editions. I use select and down, kind of like the SNES and NES Classic Edition. So I'm going to do select and down. There we go. And that's there. So I'll launch the game one more time. And I've got two more tweaks to show you guys. So now that we're in game, you can press select and down, and we're right back. That's an auto exit. So basically, if you are changing any of the settings within PPSSPP, so let's say you're in game and you want to change some kind of setting, and you were to change this to, I don't know, you turned on auto frame skip, and if you were to press your select down, the one that we just did, it's not going to save your setting. So if you change any settings, I would recommend going to exit to menu and exit this way, and then PPSSPP will save your settings. If you don't save any changes, you just launch a game and play and you want to exit immediately, go ahead and use your exit hotkey that we had just done, sorry, and you're perfectly fine. So another tweak is if you don't want an intro video, you could just press tab and we'll go up to intro, and it says play intro. We'll say no, and once we do that, we will exit out, and then let's relaunch. And there you go. So there's no intro video anymore. So I have one last setting I want to show you guys, and this is something we'd have to modify a little file, but it's very easy to do. So exiting out, if we were to go into the the emulators folder within your PPS or PSP Classic Edition, the Sony PSP.cfg, you're going to need Notepad++ to edit this. So as a standard, I included this as a complete 32-bit installation so that anyone with a Windows PC could enjoy it. Now, if you want to use PPSSPP as 64-bit, then this top line, the executable, you've got PSP Classic Edition, PPSSPP, and then you have Windows.exe. Before the .exe after Windows, just put 64 and hit save, and then we'll close it. And now I will relaunch the game, and now PPSSPP is running 64-bit. So 32-bit works perfectly fine. I don't see any differences, but I mean, if you notice that it's working better with the 64-bit instead of 32-bit, go ahead and use the 64-bit like I just showed you. But everything seems to be working perfectly fine for me on either or. And then let's say you're like, the 64-bit doesn't run as good. We'll go back in, right-click, edit with Notepad++, and just take out the 6.4. So just backspace, backspace, and save. And now I'm running in 32-bit again. So standard comes 32-bit. You can bump it up to 64 if you so choose. But again, that is just personal preference. I have included the exact same ROM list into this build as I do have in the PSP Vintage Collection pack. So that ROM list is basically, you can drag and drop any game, and I'm going to make a video on that once the PSP Vintage Collection pack has been released. It's almost completed. I just have to actually create snaps that don't exist, and there's quite a few. and I basically have to take my setup and move it to my better PC so that I can record some gameplay um, and have those snaps created for you guys. But that video will come, and basically it's just going to be drag and drop from that pack into this, and you can definitely put as many games as you want into this classic edition. For me, like I said, I put every game that my patrons requested, plus a few of my own personal choices. So I really hope you guys appreciate this build. Uh, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're not a patron already, please consider supporting my channel. I try to come up with as many awesome builds, tutorials. I do pickups videos and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of my builds are becoming more for the patron side of things, and some of them do get released to the public. But some of them are definitely going to be patron only. So if you're interested in more builds and things like that, you can definitely have access to that by becoming a patron. If not, that's totally fine. I really appreciate being able to contribute to the community, and I hope you guys enjoy what I've done. So most importantly, have a good day.